The Great Lakes, a playground for millions who venture into its pristine fresh water, but an unruly tempest when the witch of November blows in. Thousands of ships have been lost to the waves, but only one gale has earned the title King of Storms. In 1913, two freshwater cyclones collided over the Midwest. For 16 hours, the winds raged at over 60 miles per hour. A dozen ships were destroyed, most lost with their entire crews. 250 sailors never made it home.
It was about a 90-mile gale. How much stronger? I have no idea.
The 1913 storm was unique in the fact that it sank ships on nearly all of the Great Lakes. Only Ontario escaped the destruction. Lake Superior's shores were littered with broken freighters, and two ships disappeared there with no survivors. One of those ships was the 500-footer Henry B. Smith, which left Marquette without securing all of its hatches.
The traditional story is that the Henry B. Smith had been running late all season, that there had been continuous delays at both loading and unloading facilities all throughout the year, so that her captain, Jimmy Owen, was under pressure to get another trip in that season, to get her home and not be delayed by storms. When she left port about 6:30 p.m. on November 9th, it was a lull in the storm. It seemed to be okay. It looked like the storm had blown itself out, and that's when Jimmy decided to leave. He was seen to get about 2.5 or 3 miles offshore when the storm struck with renewed fury, and then he made a turn to port and simply disappeared in the storm clouds. And the ship has never been seen again.
Historians argue over the validity of the story, but eyewitness accounts seem to lean to a hasty decision to leave the safety of Marquette Harbor.
Well, there were a number of vessels that were in Marquette Harbor, in particular the whaleback Choctaw, that did not think it was safe for the Smith to go, and in fact had noticed that she was still battening her hatches when she left the harbor. So they were very surprised to see her leave. But nonetheless, these big ships didn't make money sitting in port. They only made money by hauling cargo, which means you had to be able to tough out some bad weather.
The wreck has been missing for 100 years, but not for lack of trying.
There's been an awful lot of effort that's been put in with both side scan and magnometers, both towed by vessels as well as using P-3 Orions. The Orion is an aircraft that was designed to be able to find Russian submarines, and the thought was certainly that if you could find a Russian submarine trying to hide, you ought to be able to find a 535-foot ore carrier made of steel and filled with iron ore. Unfortunately, the Orion was not able to find the ship. We also at one point utilized an MCM, mine countermine vessel from the United States Navy, the USS Defender, and she spent a couple days looking for the Smith too, using very sophisticated, in some cases classified, search equipment, but was unable to find the ship.
Wreck hunters turned to an aerial survey that marked metal targets, with one near Big Bay, Michigan that looked promising. Did the Smith make it that far north? Jerry Eliason didn't think he'd find it that easily.
He wasn't convinced. He says, well, it could be a lot of geologic. I said, Jerry, we're going to find the Smith that weekend. I said, I have no doubt in my mind. I said, it's 2013. It's the 100th year anniversary of that storm, and this is the most exciting stuff you've ever done, as far as finding shipwrecks.
Jerry and Ken headed out on the Big Lake in the spring of 2013. It didn't take long before a 520-foot target appeared deep below them.
We got this sounding, and it was like the first or second pass with the side scan, we hit it. It was like 400 feet from the actual mark on the chart. And it showed like a rise on the one end and a rise on the other end. And we said, well, it looks like a ship, but there's nothing in the middle, And I said, well, yeah, but you never really know till we look at it what you see. And I said, it could be just broken in the middle.
The team lowered a homemade high-definition camera attached with a cable. They made 50-foot passes along the wreck, hoping to see something that would prove it was the freighter.
You got to imagine, you're trailing a camera 500 foot below you, and it's, you go up, you make a turn, you got to let the camera drop, and then you drift across it. You really don't know where the camera is relative to you.
The team ran over the midsection several times without seeing anything. Then, a telltale wooden pole appeared out of the gloom.
Seeing this one upright on the bottom with its mast standing and basically totally intact, yeah, that's about as good as it gets.
The depth of the wreck, some 500 feet below Superior's icy waves, makes it nearly impossible for divers to explore. The hope is that new technology will allow a detailed examination of the wreck. Secrets from a final voyage await the explorers, clues to a century-old mystery that might finally be solved.